Someone close to you has lost a loved one and you're scratching your head trying to figure out how you can best support them. Today, we're going to talk about helpful and unhelpful ways to support a dear friend or loved one who has lost someone close to them. So, welcome to Monday Morning Glory, where myself and Mary, we talk about things
Yes.
that pertain to grief for life as well as in death. So, Mary, I'm going to have you open up with a couple of things that you find to be helpful versus unhelpful for someone who's trying to support someone walking through their grief.
Okay. Uh, there's so many things on this list, but this I've just kind of narrowed it down to, one of the first things I know most people, when you're trying to support somebody that you love, that you care about, who's experiencing a loss, one of the things that is probably the least helpful is if you make comments like, I know how you feel, because the truth is, no, you don't. Unless you've walked through it, and even if you have walked through it, you understand the journey, but you don't know exactly how they feel. So the best way, a very helpful way, is just basically uh, letting them know how sorry you are, that you can only imagine how hard this has got to be for them. And, just be there with them. Sometimes just being there, just your presence without even talking, and just, offer a hug. Always ask, may I give you a hug? And just be there with them. And the hardest part for a lot of people is be okay with the tears. Be okay with the tears, because the tears are going to be there, and don't try to stop them. Don't feel like you have to fix it. That is, one of the things that just being there and, supporting. Nowadays, sometimes it can be sending somebody a text and just say, hey, I'm just want you to know, praying for you today, thinking about you today.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that is, I found that is for the vast majority of people, especially well, it doesn't matter, but even especially in the Christian community, it's not always helpful to just offer somebody a scripture. That can be very dismissive. It almost makes you feel like what I'm feeling doesn't matter. It's not, that, it almost can make me feel guilty for feeling, the grief and the sadness. And, so be very careful about offering, because that's really a way of trying to fix it and and the thing is, the truth is, understanding there's nothing you can say that's going to fix it. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do that's going to fix it. So kind of going back with like the first one, just offering your love, your care, that you're praying for them. And the third thing that I just am going to mention is, which is going to be hard for people, and I'm guilty of this too, and like I said, as a life coach, I've worked with people going through grief, but until I've walked through this journey, I didn't have a clue. Now I have a deeper understanding of what they're going through. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is, or not do, is do not ask, how can I help you? Because I'll be honest with you, when I was in that state, I don't even know how to help myself. I don't know what to tell you. How can I don't know. Just, pray for me, basically. So I encourage people to, yes, sometimes bringing meals is good, especially if there's a family involved. For me, it was just me because my kids are grown. And so I really ask people not to bring me a whole lot of food, because I'm also, on a somewhat of restrictive meal plan. So what's helpful is sending somebody a grocery card, a gift card, or a gift card for a restaurant, or a gift card, where you can order a meal and have it sent, DoorDash or something like that, or offer to, call that person or text that person and just let them know, hey, I'm going to come over and I'm going to do your laundry for you. What day will work for you? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's not like you're not asking them, can I? It's like, I'm going to come over, I'm going to clean your house. What day will work for you? What day and what time? And so being specific about the things that you can do. and
Mm-hmm.
but really take into account that person. Like I said, I didn't run a meal train. I asked people not to do a meal train. I shouldn't say that. I did for the week after, when we were doing the funeral and stuff, when I knew the family was going to be in. I said, if you want to bring meals, then that would be a great help for all the company, all the household people that I had. But after that, it was like, I wasn't eating anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
gift cards and restaurant gift cards, grocery store gift cards are a great way to just say, I'm thinking about you and I care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think I found that to be very helpful when friends would just the gift cards were very helpful. Text messages with just a heart or pray hands praying for you. Those were very sweet, very helpful small things, right?
Mhm.
On the other side, when it comes to kind of the religious aspect, like when you say like the scripture, I found it offensive, and I'm not saying everybody does, but I found it offensive when people would say they could see David dancing with Jesus or something like that. I'm like, not the time. I don't want to hear that.
Mhm.
I don't want to.
Mhm.
Um, so I think, and I understand. I think from the standpoint of someone who is grieving, you don't want people to insert, what their hopes are for you, or like, or
Mhm.
even their predictions. So I would probably say one of the things that I found to be unhelpful was trying to predict the griever's future. Like, your second year is going to be your worst,
Mhm.
or everything's going to be fine, or just
Mhm.
so just different things where they're trying to predict it. I think as a griever, you're thinking about the here and now. You're very present, probably more so than what you want to be. And
Yes.
so when somebody's trying to pull you forward into the next thing, or it's a mismatch of where their headspace is at and where
Mhm.
their heart is at. So if you can just kind of meet them in their present, then I think it gives you better words to speak into the now versus trying to tell them what the
Yeah.
future will hold. So I found
Yes.
that to be helpful versus hopeful, helpful versus unhelpful.
Mhm.
Being just be present with them and try to get into that space where they're at
Right.
now. Um, the
The
other
other
thing,
piece I want to throw in there is don't compare grief journeys,
mm-hmm, yep,
because you may have walked through a grief journey, as I have, as Jasmine has, but my grief journey is going to be different than hers, and her and I and Jasmine and I have talked about that, you
mm-hmm,
know, and so we need to not compare grief journeys, and everybody's journey is going to be unique to them, and we need
exactly.
to honor that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would even say just because we have like griefs. So I've coached other women who have lost children. And so even among like grief, so to speak, where it was traumatic, it was sudden, it was a child, that even still looks very
Right.
different. Right. So it's not just Mary lost a spouse and I lost a child that makes it different. Mary, you can probably attest to this, that even among people who are widows or
Mhm.
widowers that have lost spouses, even that looks different.
Absolutely.
And so some people might be ready to find another spouse much sooner than
Mhm.
somebody who does not. And so all that looks really
Yeah,
different.
that's what I was going to say. The don't compare even the timeline.
Exactly.
Your journey is your journey, and one of the things I want to throw in there is one of the most hurtful things, not just unhelpful, hurtful, is for somebody to start saying, "Well, you should be over it by now."
hmm
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know that there is no timeline.
Yeah. As a supporter, if you are a supporter, if it is still bothering your friend or whoever it is that you are trying to support, be that coworker, whomever, think more in terms of impact and not time.
Yes.
If they are still being impacted by their loss, then that's what you want to speak to, is the impact, not the time, because they know they are very well aware, probably more so than you as a supporter, how much time has gone by,
Right.
and they're probably already wrestling with the frustration of feeling like they're stuck and can't move
Absolutely.
forward and beyond. So
Absolutely.
bringing attention to the length of time that's gone by is not going to be helpful, but
No.
what will be is when you begin to just be more empathetic
Hmm.
towards the impact of what they've gone through. And kind of circling back to what Mary said, you can't imagine what that person has gone through. So even if you've gone through the exact same thing, you all come from different backgrounds, different households.
Right,
All those things are
right.
different. Your beliefs are different. The way that you think about yourself, God, and the world are all very different. So we want to steer clear of having anything that would impede their healing even further.
That's right.
And so I'll end on this, and this will just be my last one for now because there could be a book written on
Yes.
this. But as a supporter, one of the worst things that you can do, and it also depends on how close you are to that individual. But one of the worst things to do is to do nothing. So
Hmm.
sometimes, out of the fear of saying the wrong thing, of being hurtful or harmful or unhelpful, you might feel like, oh man, like the fear of doing those things might shut you up. But actually, it hurts more, especially, like I said, it depends on how close you are in that person's circle. If you are a close relative, or if you guys had a really close knit relationship before the loss, and all of a sudden you've ghosted them, that hurts.
Hmm.
That is a
Hmm.
now that's kind of compounding their grief.
Absolutely.
And it might complicate things. So I would say, even if it's just like we talked about before, heart emojis, this the simple, sweet little things, the things that you
Hmm.
cannot take their pain away. And I know that it feels like it's this big thing, and you don't know how to go into their life, how to, what can I do? Sometimes it's not really just trying to take the pain away. It's just really, my husband and I learned the power of presence.
Hmm.
And a friend of mine, actually a couple of friends did this, where they would just mail cards. And
Hmm.
it was really just the thought that counted. Like, wow,
Hmm.
they took the time. They didn't have to write a whole bunch. The card pretty much said all of it, and they just would maybe circle a few words that stood out to them to make sure it drew my attention, and sign their name. And so something as sweet as sending cards is kind. And that one friend that she got all these postcards, and she would send them out once a week. And so for like, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 weeks straight, I was just getting just these
Yeah,
funny cards. And so just different things like that, that can, I think, also bring healing to you as a supporter, to feel like, man, I
absolutely.
am also doing something to help them on
And
the.
that's so important, Jazz, because I know as a supporter, you feel I want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? And but that's a great, example of something like you said. Nowadays, a text. You don't have to talk to the person. The person doesn't have to talk. They
Mm-hmm.
just get the text. One of the most hurtful things that a griever can experience is, like you said, the ghosting, or I noticed a few times when I was around people, that I noticed people avoiding.
Mm,
It was almost as though I would see them, but they're kind of hoping that I don't see them.
yeah.
And it was, I don't know that they realize it, but I saw them kind of avert their eyes so that, because they don't know what to say. They're uncomfortable. I get that. And
Yeah.
so I didn't really take offense over it, but I did. It is still hurt, and so what I'm saying is, like, if you have nothing to say, just give them a hug. Just what, don't even ask how you doing. You already know. You already have
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good idea. Just say, I just want you to know I'm so sorry and I'm praying for you. May I give you a hug? Or something like that. And like I said, the text message or something like that, which is non-invasive,
Mm-hmm.
and it nowadays that's very helpful. And
Yeah.
just remember, after the funeral and everybody goes away, everybody's gone back to their own life, that's when it gets really hard. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when they need to hear from people on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
After everything is done, and now they have to figure out how to live life, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody else goes back to their life. That's when understand. And I had some awesome, awesome friends in my life who, I was took very good care of me,
Yeah.
for months and months and months. And so it's just really important that you don't, it's hard, I know, because it's not makes you uncomfortable, but push back your comfort zone and be there to comfort them, and just with a hug, and just letting them know you care.
Yeah. Yep. And I'll say, I'll end with these notes.
Hmm.
Just that I know as a supporter, it doesn't feel like enough.
Yes.
it doesn't feel like enough to hug them and say, I'm praying for you. I know that it doesn't feel like enough because you can't give them what they want, which is
Right.
really that loved one back. And
Yes.
nobody can. And that's
Right.
really the struggle. But just know that your hug, your prayers, it truly is enough. And you are putting drops into their cup. It really does help
Exactly.
them get through that moment.
Really does.
So one of the things I learned from the people around me who did this well was they did not expect a text in return,
Hmm.
and I appreciated that freedom to not
Yes.
feel like now I have to serve you back. I really did.
Hmm.
And acknowledging that my mind is in so many different spaces that I might not even be in. But so it was really, I appreciated those friends that made it really about pouring into me and not, well, hey, where's my text back? You
Yes.
didn't,
Hmm.
so I gleaned that from them. And whenever I message somebody, I'm like, hey, you don't have to respond. Just wanted to let you know I love you and you're in my thoughts today.
Yes.
And ending it there. And this is the other thing that we're not saying. We're not saying that whatever you're going through in that season of life, because sometimes friends are going through things at the exact same time. We're not saying that
Mhm.
your pain or whatever you're going through, it does not matter. We're just saying that if you are looking to show up for a friend at this hour when they are in need, here's how you can help them.
Yes.
And hopefully and prayerfully that you will have somebody in your circle that could be doing the exact same thing for you.
Amen.
And if they're not doing it,
Amen.
show them this
Yeah.
video.
Yes. Because your focus is to be on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And
So,
I would like to let everybody know as we close this out today, I want you to remember that even in the darkest night, the sun will rise. So it's not going to be forever. Even when things are super, super dark, it will end and the sun will rise.
oh, good. Well, thank you for that word of encouragement, Mary. And so we ask that you would drop some thoughts in the comments, as well as some topics that you would like for us to cover. If you would like to reach out to us, my website is jasminemcglure.com.
And mine is empoweredlivinglifecoaching.net.
Yep, we'll put those in the description. We thank you so much for watching Monday Morning Glory, and we will see you next Monday.